wind damage and rain. That would be the topic of today's video. All right, guys, bear with me. Last night we had a set of storms roll through, and they were pretty rough in the way of wind and rain. Like I said, we were at 84, and it dropped down to 46. And usually, anytime you have a temperature change like that, it usually brings with it some pretty wild weather. So we were getting some heavy-duty wind gusts last night, and in addition to that, we got pounding rain. And just a couple odds and ends I want to try to fix today. This one window blew out, so it's not a major. I have to be careful how I walk on this floor. It's rotten in some places. And the thing about this storm was the majority of the wind. Boy, I'll come back with you. I gotta try to put these windows in. But the majority of the wind was from the southeast. So let me fix this window. All right, so it's odd that these windows here would blow in. That way is east, so you could tell the wind was coming pretty well this direction. So it got the windows blown in here. You can see the old chicken coops here. So I wasn't down in my shop yet to see if we have any damage. I know I had a lot of loose tin on that building, but luckily southeast for us, it's the hill is we're kind of tucked down behind the hill here to the southeast. Usually our wicked weather is coming from the north and the west. So all right, we got that straightened out. That was minor. Let me go down to my shop. Yeah, it was that much of a storm. It actually ripped part of the roof off of the farmhouse over at the other farm. So some tin blew up and tore off right on the top of the farmhouse. So I know I have some down trees on the road up to the fields that we'll have to take care of. So the main barn here looks fine. Everything looks good. So let's go down to the shop and see if we have any damage. All right, so you see the water here. We got some from all the rain, and just checking some of the roofs here. See right there. But I don't see anything major here. I think we're going to be in pretty good shape. Like I say, the way the buildings here are situated, we're shielded from that direction. Get some water that blew in here. The hay wagon's all wet. Some flooding here along the edge, like always. Puddle of water over there. Yeah, I didn't, like I said, I don't have a rain gauge. I probably should have one, but I just don't. So I don't know how much water actually came in. See this huge spot on the floor? I'm pretty sure that blew in probably from the E-vents. We got a puddle here under the 986, like always, where it leaks. But I don't see any tin that got loose or blew off. So I think we're going to be in pretty good shape. Let me double check my door. It's like a 14-foot doorway here, or 15-foot, so it's a lot for the wind to grab a hold of, but I think we're good. All right, so very little damage for the amount of wind that we had, so let's see if there's anything else. All right, so the biggest question is, are my trash cans still out at the road? Monday morning's trash day, and with the wind we had, I don't even know if they're going to be down there. I usually run and get them here with the 395 with the loader. So if they're still down there, I'd be amazed. So let this warm up a little bit and go get my trash cans. And it rained, but I don't think we had more. I don't know, maybe, I can't see we had more than an inch, because that water hole would have been a lot fuller than it is. So maybe it was just a lot more wind. It was a lot more wind than rain. I mean, it was pounding against the windows. So yeah, it was all night long, basically, just thundering wind. And right here we have a little project for the spring. You see there's still some standing corn there. There wasn't any corn there anyway, being under the trees, but the combine couldn't get there because of these tree limbs. So I think we're going to put the forks on the loader and get a pallet and get up there and nip those limbs off that are blooming, just so we get a little more sunlight to the ground and the combine can get to the edge of the field. You see the weeds that are starting, so you need some dry weather to be able to do anything. And I didn't lose the trash cans. It's funny, every time there's a massive windstorm, you see people's trash cans all over the place. You see trash can lids blowing around. So, hey, it's just the way the farm is. That's southeast that way. And you can take notice, all the buildings are kind of tucked down here. Plus there's a mountain to the south there. So you can see we're kind of shielded from the direction from all that wind. The worst part is when it's coming from the west, because there's really nothing to stop the wind other than these trees here. Alright, so on this miserable day here, with all the rain that we had, we're pretty well unscathed. Now, I want to answer a question I got from a subscriber. I had somebody ask, and I just can't remember the name, but if you're a viewer and you ask the question, this is to answer your question. Somebody had asked, would I ever consider getting a tractor with a tricycle front end? And the answer to that question is yes. I looked at a Farmall M a couple weeks ago. I looked at a couple Farmall H's. I do want to add one of those to my collection. And I think it'd be kind of fun here to have on the farm, and they're cheap. They're not very expensive. I mean, anybody can own an H because they made almost 400,000 of them. So there's an H everywhere for sale, the way it seems, at least here in Pennsylvania. You go on a Craigslist, type in Farmall H, and you'll get 3-4 pages. So it's a very affordable tractor to buy and have on the farm. M's are nice. Super H's I would rather have, or a Super M, but they're a little bit pricier. They're more in high demand, especially with the tractor pullers. So I have been looking at them, but the reason I think I'd like to have one, I'd like to show you here. That's the door where the hay goes in, and you take notice of the distance here to the embankment there. It's hard to see on camera what that distance is, but when you have a hay wagon here trying to back it in, there is only one way to put the wagons in here. It's very tight, and with the 685 last year, I had some times my tires were up on the bank there to get it backed in here. So the only way to do it is to pull up there. It's the only way you can do it that I found. You can pull up there, and then you have to back in here and get it over into this grass here, because there's a bank here. So you can probably see, maybe you can't, but I don't have a lot of width here to get my wagons in and out of this barn. There's one way to do it. It works perfectly if you can do it that way, but sometimes it doesn't always work out, and you gotta front and back a couple times. I am pretty good at backing wagons. I don't want anybody to get the wrong impression, but I think it'd be nice to have a tricycle tractor. You can pull up and you can basically spin them any which way, and you can put wagons away with those tractors. So it's starting to rain here. Let me go back down to the shop and I'll let you know why I didn't buy a H or an M yet. All right, and I just got soaked. It's raining again here, raining pretty good. So anyway, like I was talking about, I would like to add an H or an M to the collection, Super H, Super M. That would be awesome for the farm here. Not that it would get a lot of hours, especially being a tricycle tractor. Now, I know I heard a lot of guys, and hey, it's one way or another, whatever you think, but on hills and hillsides and all these embankments that I farm, I'm not going to go on it with a tricycle tractor. I have had guys tell me that it's no different than a wide front end. You still have the same amount of tires on the ground. And I don't know. It's a possibility. I've never done it, and I don't plan to do it. I'm not going to go on a hillside with a tricycle front end tractor hanging on these hills. The best tractors for me are low to the ground, low profile utility models, and that's kind of what I want to keep adding to the collection. The 986 is fine because it's so wide, it's set really wide. I think the 560 will be okay, but I don't want any high profile or tricycle tractors on these hills. So anyway, and that's just my preference. Like I say, I don't mean to start a battle over whether they're just as good on the hills or not, but I'm not gonna, long story short, I'm not gonna be using it in the field too often. And to buy a tractor just to back hay wagons in, it's not really a necessary expense, but I still would like to have at least one on the farm here someday. And now with this 395, because it's so short front to back, I backed the empty hay wagon in the other day, and it's deceiving with this loader on. This little tractor turns so sharp. You can basically spin right around in a circle with this little utility tractor. Just because the wheelbase is so short, you can really turn. As long as your loader doesn't hit anything, you can basically spin right around. So as far as backing hay wagons in, I think it's going to be a little easier with this than it was the 685. But so anyway, why didn't I buy an H or an M? I was looking at them; they are cheap. I looked at an H that was $800, and I could have easily bought it. I looked at an M that was about $1,800. It looked pretty nice, so they're cheap. But I just didn't buy it. What I think I'd rather have for the farm here would be a 300, a 350, a 400, or a 450. With a little bit more preference to the 350 and the 450. I would like to get a model. Either one of those models would be nice. The 450 would be a real nice tractor. They're a lot bigger, heavier. I mean, it has more horsepower than a Super M. Just because of how rare they are, they didn't make as many of the 450s as they did the 400s or the 300s or the 350s. And actually, another story here, I looked at a Farmall 350 diesel, and I kind of got scared of it because there's a hole in the block on the outside. There's a hole, and they had patched it with some JB weld, which it was holding for them. That's fine, that's all good. The problem is they didn't make too many of those 350 diesel engines. So if I would have bought it, and it was cheap enough and it looked nice, but if I would have bought it and I would have had an issue with the block, I don't think I could have found a used block somewhere, and trying to get it welded is hit or miss. So it just kind of scared me, and I figured I'd stay away from it. 450 diesel, that's another kind of a rare engine. But that's kind of what I'm looking. You have the live PTO if you ever do use it in the field. Now, I do have some fields that are level. Making hay, I could probably TED or rake with a tricycle tractor, but as cheap as the H's and the M's are, and not to say I wouldn't buy one, I really would like to get one someday, just to have it in the collection. But at this point where we are trying to buy things that are going to be used on the farm here, probably if I would have to, I would look into a 350 or a 450. Like I say, live PTO, you got the fast hitch, you've got a little bit more modern hydraulic system. So they're pretty nice tractors. And I really like the look of the 350 and the 450, the paint scheme. They're pretty nice. Plus you have TA. So all those things that the H's and the M's didn't have, your 100 series really took care of a lot of the things and modernized the whole tractor. So, all right, guys, I guess I just wanted to answer a question. Like I say, somebody did ask if I would ever buy a tricycle tractor here. And short answer, yes, I think someday I will. But for right now, as far as an H or an M, unless I find one that's in real nice shape with good tires, matching tires, that's the biggest thing. H's are so cheap, you can get them for anywhere from $500 to $1,500, and just about all of them that I've seen have bald tires, rusty rims, and or mismatched tires. Most people don't get rid of them when the tires are in good shape, so that's kind of the issue. And I already bought 3 rear tires this year. So that's enough for 1 year. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you appreciate this. A little bit different video today. If there's anything you guys would like to see or want me to cover here in the next couple days, it's going to be kind of rainy. I'm not sure what kind of shop work I'm going to do. But if there's any topics that you guys would like me to cover, maybe I can put it all in one video for one of these days. So, all right, thanks.